Welcome to Gemara Academy. In this class, we will learn the Gemara Masechta Shabbos on Daf Hey Amud Beis and Daf Vav Amud Aleph. Let's begin. The Gemara over here is going to present a machlokes in a case where a person carries from a Rishus HaYachid to a Rishus HaRabim through a Karmelis, whether the person is chayiv or not. The Gemara is going to present that one opinion says that he's chayiv, one says that he's pater. The Gemara is going to ask on the opinion that says that he's chayiv, where do we find that such a case should be chayiv? We're going to present one answer rejected, a second answer rejected, and then we'll present the final answer and accept it. So let's see the Gemara now inside. Tanu Rabbanan, the Rabbanan taught, Hameitzi mechanus leplata, somebody who carries out from a store to a plaza, derech stuff by way of the bench area. So he carried from the store, which is the Rishus HaYachid, to the plaza, which is the Rishus HaRabim, through the bench area. The bench area is where the merchants, the store owners would sit and sell their stuff. So that area, being that they were sitting on blocks, that area is not considered a Rishus HaRabim because people are not able to walk there. It's not either Rishus HaYachid, being that it doesn't have the dimensions of a Rishus HaYachid, and it's considered a Karmelis. So if a person carries, the case basically is when a person carries from a Rishus HaYachid to a Rishus HaRabim through a Karmelis. Chayev, he's chayev. The Tanakama, the Rabbanon hold that he's chayev. Ben Azai Paiter, and Ben Azai says that he's pater. So the Gemara now is going to ask a question on the Rabbanon. The Gemara starts off by saying, Ben Azai we understand, however the Rabbanon we don't. So therefore, when we say we understand Ben Azai, it's in purple because we're leading into the question that yes, we understand Ben Azai, but we don't understand the Rabbanon. Says the Gemara, Bishlema Ben Azai, it makes sense what Ben Azai says, because Savari holds, Mahalach Ka'im Medami, that one who's walking, it's as if he's stopping. And therefore, when the person walked from the Rishus HaYachid to the Karmelis, it's like he came to stop in the Karmelis. And for carrying from Rishus HaYachid to a Karmelis is pater. And then when he continued walking from the Karmelis to the Rishus HaRabim, he wants to get carried from the Karmelis to Rishus HaRabim, and therefore he's pater. So Ben Azai makes sense because he holds Mahalach Ka'im Medami. One who is walking, it's as if he is standing. El Rabbanon, but according to the Rabbanon, Nehi Nami, it is true, the Kasarvi, that they hold Mahalach Lav Ka'im Medami, that one who is walking, it's not like he's standing. So they hold that he went directly from the Rishus HaYachid to the Rishus HaRabim. So we can understand that they don't hold Mahalach Ka'imit. But Heicha Ashkachno Kahai Gavana Dechayev. But where do we find that in such a manner a person should be Chayev? We need to find that such a thing should be Chayev. Because anything that's Chayev has to be in the Mishkan to be Chayev. So the Gemara begins by presenting the first answer. Amar of Safar said, Amar of Ami, Amar of Yechanan. So Rav Safar said in the name of Rav Ami, in the name of Rabbi Yechanan, Midi Dahava, since it's like Hamavir Chayvetz B'Rishus HaRabim, somebody who carries an item in Rishus HaRabim. It's referring to somebody who carries an item more than 4 amas in Rishus HaRabim. So the Gemara is comparing an individual who carries, let's say, 6 amas in Rishus HaRabim to the person who carried from the Rishus HaYachid to the Rishus HaRabim through the Karmelis. And the comparison is Hasam Lav Afal Gav. Over there, is it not that even though the Kama Denokit Le, as much as he takes it, Va'azal, and he goes pater is pater. When the person carried 4 amas, the first 4 amas contributed to his chiyuv. However, the additional amas that he carried are not part of the chiyuv. And for carrying those amas, he's in the meantime of carrying those amas, he's not yet chayiv. Ki manach li chayiv. When he puts it down, then he becomes chayiv. So hachanami, here too, it's not different. We have a similar case. Just like by carrying 6 amas in Rishus HaRabim, the extra 2 amas are not part of the chiyuv. And when he's holding the item, he's not chayiv. Only after he puts it down at the end of 6 amas will he be chayiv. The same is true in our case. He went through an area that's pater, the Karmelis, just like the extra 2 amas. Nevertheless, when he puts it down in the Rishus HaRabim, he'll be chayiv. Answers the Gemara, or the Gemara responds to this and challenges this answer. Midami, is it the same? Hasam over there in the case of the 6 amas, called Heicha de Manachle, anywhere that he would place it, Makim Chiyavu, is a place of Chiyav. It's true that the extra 2 amas were not needed for the person to become chayiv. But if he would have put down the item in those 2 amas, he would be chayiv. Hacha imanachle b'stav, but over here, if you would place it in the area that he's pater, the parallel to the 2 amas, we were using the Karmelis. If you would put it down in those 2 amas, he'd be chayiv. But over here, imanachle b'stav, if he put it down in the stuff in the bench area, makim p'turu, it's a makim that he'd be pater for. It doesn't mean a makim p'tur, it's a Karmelis, but it's a place that he'd be pater for. So we can't compare it. So over there, those 2 amas don't separate and create a problem for the chiyuv because they're not really 2 amas of p'tur, since if he'd put it down, he'd be chayiv. Whereas over here, the area of p'tur would create a problem, since if you put it down, he would be pater. So answers the Gemara a different source for it. Elamidi dahavitz, rather, since it's like amaver chevetz mitchilas dal l'seif dal. It's like a person who carries an item from the beginning of 4 amas to the end of 4 amas, an exact 4 amas. The comparison is hasam over there by the 4 amas. Lav afal gav, is it not that even though the imanach le b'seich dal amas pater, if the person would put it down any point within the 4 amas, let's say by 2 amas, he'd be pater. So unlike by the 6 amas, where we try to compare those extra 2 amas to a place of p'tur where it's not, because if he put it down he'd be chayev. Over here, in the case where he carried an exact 4 amas, if he'd put it down after 2 amas, he'd actually be patur. Ki manachli b'seif dalar amas chayev. But if he puts it down at the end of 4 amas, he's chayev. Hachanami leishna. Here too, it's no different. If he puts it down at the karmelis, he's patur. If he puts it down in the Rosh Hashanah, he should be chayev. The Gemara responds and rejects this answer as well. Mi dami, is it the same? Hasam over there in the case of the 4 amas, lagabe da hai gavra, regarding this specific individual makam ptur, it's a place of ptur, being that he lifted up the item 2 amas from the middle point. Therefore, if he puts it down at that point, he'll be patur since it's only a distance of 2 amas. But it's not that the area is an area of ptur, and therefore, if a different individual would have lifted up the item 2 amas further off from the point that he put it down, and therefore the 2 amas points for him would be a 4 amas point for a different individual, that other individual would be chayiv. So it's not that the area is an area of ptur, it's just based on the fact that he didn't complete the malacha of carrying 4 amas, he only has 2 amas. Therefore, he is patur, but the area itself is not patur. Hasam over there, legabe da hai gavra, regarding that person, makom ptur, it's a place of ptur. Lekula alma makom chiyuvu, but for everybody else, a person who lifted up the item, let's say a distance of 4 amas from this point, it would be a place of chiyuv, of a hacha. But over here, lekula alma, for everybody, makom ptur, it's a place of ptur. A karmelis is a place of ptur. Over here, we're trying to compare it to a place that there could be a chiyuv. Just if an individual didn't carry a full 4 amas, he wouldn't be chayiv. It's not a good comparison. Maybe over there, that area doesn't create a problem in a separation of the malacha, since he carried it the whole time through a place of chiyuv. But over here, where it's a place of ptur, maybe it wouldn't be chayiv. We don't have a source for such a case. We need a similar case that's chayiv in order to say that this case is chayiv. And therefore, the Gemara gives its the final answer, which we accept. Ella, rather, midi dahava. It's like a meitzim rishus hayachid. It's like somebody who carries from Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah through the Tzidi Rosh Hashanah. The way the things were set up is that there was a Rosh Hashanah on one side, there was a Rosh Hashanah, a person's home over here. The person didn't build his home right off the street. Didn't want to have people right there, so they would build it a distance off the street. The area in between was not a Rosh Hashanah because it wasn't the regular use of the public. They would spill over there, but it wasn't the regular place that they would use. So it's not a Rosh Hashanah. It's not either a Rosh Hashanah since it doesn't have the dimensions of a Rosh Hashanah. It didn't have walls that were 10 tefachim by 10 tefachim high. So that area is considered a karmelis. Nevertheless, when a person carries from Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah into the street from his home, he's going to be chayev, although he passes through a karmelis. So we do find that if a person carries from Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah, he is going to be chayev, even though it's through a karmelis. Hasam over there, lav aflagav, is it not that even though the imanachle, that if he would place it at Sidi Rosh Hashanah on the sides of the Rosh Hashanah, which is a karmelis, pater, he'll be pater. V'chim manachle Rosh Hashanah, nevertheless, if he doesn't place it in the karmelis, he continues into the Rosh Hashanah, chayev, he'll be chayev. Hachanami over here too, loishna, it's not different. And the Gemara accepts this as the final answer, that we do find that if a person carries from Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah through a karmelis, he'll be chayiv. And since the Rabbanan hold mahalach lav ka'im edami, when a person's walking, he's not standing, so he didn't take a rest, he didn't take a stop in the karmelis, so he'll be chayiv. The Gemara now is going to ask a side question. Maskif la Rav Papa. Rav Papa asked the question, Ha nichel Rabbanan. This goes well according to the Rabbanan, and it's in purple just because he's starting off to say some background information to lead to his question. He says this is a good answer according to the Rabbanan, the army that say Tzidi Rosh Hashanah Lavke Rosh Hashanah Dami. They hold that the sides of the Rosh Hashanah are not considered Rosh Hashanah, it's a karmelis. So now we have a case of a person being chayiv for carrying from Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah through a karmelis. Ella, however, the Rabbi Eliezer, according to Rabbi Eliezer, the Amr Tzidi Rosh Hashanah Ki Rosh Hashanah Dami. According to Rabbi Eliezer, who holds that the side area between the Rosh Hashanah and the person's home is the Rosh Hashanah, because the Rabbim would spill over there at times. Therefore, it's considered a Rosh Hashanah. My ikal memar. What do we have to say? According to Rabbi Eliezer, could we find that a person carrying from Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah through a karmelis is chayiv? So we accepted our last answer. We already have a source for it because we find that the Rabbanan say that a person will be chayiv in such a way. The Gemara is inquiring whether we could find that it's chayiv according to everybody, even according to Rabbi Eliezer. And the Gemara answers, and it's going to be a lead up into the answer, so it's going to be once again in purple, arrow pointing downwards. Amr le Rav Acha Bereder Rav Ika. Rav Acha Bereder Rav Ika said, Amors, you can say the Shmayas le Rabbi Eliezer, that you could say that you heard from Rabbi Eliezer, the Amr that he said, Siddur Rosh Hashanah Ki Rosh Hashanah Dami, that he said that the sides of the Rosh Hashanah are considered Rosh Hashanah, Heicha deleke chifufe, where there are no barriers. If it's just a road over here, the house over here, and there's an area in between, then Siddur Rosh Hashanah Ki Rosh Hashanah is considered Rosh Hashanah because the public spill over. That's only if there are no barriers that separate the public, where the public are walking in the street, and the home by the end of the public area in between. So we would have over here the public's area, we have the area in between, and the home. So if there's no barriers in between the street and the separated area from the house, then we'll say that that area is a Rishus Harabim because they spill over into it. Then Rabbi Eliezer said it. But if there are barriers to stop the public from overflowing and getting close to the house, and the wagons possibly that they're riding in damaging the walls, so in a case where there are barriers, Mishma, did you hear from Rabbi Eliezer that it's considered still a Rishus Harabim? We did not. Rabbi Eliezer did not say in such a case it's a Rishus Harabim. So in such a case it will not be a Rishus Harabim, since he didn't say it is, and it can't be a Rishus Hayachid either, so it's going to be a Carmelis. And nevertheless, so Hilkach, therefore, Lahadami, it's similar to that. If a person carries from his home into the street, he'll be Chayev, even though he's passing through an area in between. And at times, that area has barriers. So we have a case, even according to Rabbi Eliezer, where a person is carrying from Rishus Hayachid to Rishus Harabim through a Carmelis, and he's going to be Chayev. Now the Gemara goes back to the Brisa where we mentioned the opinion of Ben Azai. The Gemara says, Amar Rabbi Yechanan says, Ben Azai said that a person's pater when he carried from the Rishus Hayachid to the Rishus Harabim, it's only through the Carmelis, only if he walked through, because Mahalach Ka'imit, since he came to a stop. However, Ben Azai agrees if a person would throw the item from the Rishus Hayachid to the Rishus Harabim over the Carmelis, that he will be Chayev. Now the Gemara brings a supporting brisa to this. Tanya Nami Hachi. We also learned a brisa that says this. If somebody carries from a store to the public plaza through the bench area, he's Chayev. This applies to one who carries, one who carries out, one who carries in, one who throws it, the one who passes it. In any one of these ways, he'll be Chayev. Ben Azai says, if one carried it walking outside, he carried the item outside from the Rishus Hayachid to the Rishus Harabim through the Carmelis, or he carried it in, then he'll be pater. However, if he passed it or threw it in either direction, then he'll be Chayev because it never came to stop in the Carmelis. So to summarize the Gemara, we presented that when a person carries from Rishus Hayachid to Rishus Harabim, or the reverse, from Rishus Harabim to Rishus Hayachid, and there's a Carmelis in between, there's a machlekes. Ben Azai says that he's pater because when a person walks, it's considered like he's standing, so he came to rest in the Carmelis, and therefore he's pater. And the Rabbanan hold that he's chayev because we don't say one who's walking is like he's stopping, and therefore he never came to rest in the Carmelis. The Gemara ever asked, although it's not like he came to rest, but where do we find that such a case is chayev? The Gemara presented one answer and rejected it, the second answer and rejected it, and then we presented the last and final answer and accepted it. The Gemara also added that according to Ben Azai, he's only pater when he walks, since when he walks it's like he's stopped in the Carmelis. However, if he were to throw the item or pass the item and it would not stop in the Carmelis, then he will be chayev.